Okay, Paul, the record feed up. Not much of an introduction needed, I think. Legend here in the vinyl community. And today we want to talk about some special, some interesting stuff. We want to talk about the electric recording company editions and what comes with it. And Paul got his Waldron Mal 2 by now. And let's start with a question, Paul. Are you very disappointed that your release doesn't sound 10 times better than regular audiophile releases, although it costs 10 times the amount of money?
I'd have to say no. I'm not
Okay.
disappointed. This is definitely not going to be for everyone, and that's understandable. But for me, you have to look at what it takes to get the tapes, because I talked to the former Music Matters folks, and they said that in order to take one tape from the vault, they had to put down at least $1 million in insurance money. Um, so that is a huge factor. Just the level of detail that they go into in these, uh, especially the cover. Um, you're definitely getting a quality product out of this whole thing, and so you're paying for the quality. You're paying for you know everything that they're putting into it in terms of pressing, mastering. Um, the overall packaging is very attractive with the OB, the PVC slip. So yeah, I'd say for me it was worth it, and especially this title here, the Mal Waldron, because this only got one US reissue. I think it was a
Mhm.
OJC CD press. The Japanese have done it a few times, but it has never gotten a good, high quality audiophile mastering before.
Right. Yeah. You're getting into the main topic very quick. I'm quite surprised that you did, because what I've learned so far, and we talk about maybe the sound quality and the mastering a bit later, um, the cover recreation is where they really shine in a way, because
Yes.
these covers are from A to Z completely handmade, completely. They,
Yes.
they print them on old Heidelberger machines, which are used when those records came out. And you spoke about the insurance costs and things like that. Their main their main costs are into the covers. The
Yeah.
covers the covers makes these releases also in the production wise so incredible expensive, and that's what makes them really special. Although some of you may know, of course, they can bend, but okay, you can get that, you can reverse that, or you can get another one from them, but that's because those covers are completely from A to Z handmade, and that's
Yep.
very special, I think. And that's
Yeah, and just talking about the cover, so I'm showing this on camera, and people would look at it and they would just say, "Hey, this is a Stoughton jacket, just like a Stoughton jacket made in America." No, it's not.
no.
So on the surface of the front surface, it looks the same, but the back is, like you said, identical to how they were doing it in the 50s and 60s. This is not gloss. This is
Yeah,
a pasted on
yeah,
paper backing.
yeah, exactly. It makes them so special. Or even the inners are recreated perfectly.
Yeah.
Even the inner sleeves, they put so much effort in that. And sometimes when it comes to the typo, you have mistakes, little mistakes, that one letter is bigger than it should be. But that comes with this handmade process, and you have to accept that in a way, because those are they how should I put it? They play in another league, but don't get me wrong when I say they play more, they are more objects, and they drag you into this time when you listen to this releases, just for the way they come around. When you open it, when you get out the record, it's something completely different, and it puts you right into this old recordings. And then we get into that probably a little later. The kind they do the mastering plays with that completely. What was your first impression when you listened to the recording?
So I was really impressed. And of course, you know, everyone's mastering chain adds a certain color to the, you know, the LP. But, you know, I have several prestige originals, and, you know, this one to get an original of is just impossible. So that was another reason why I decided to spring for this one, because, you know, to get a near mint original, you're easily spending twice the amount of what this one cost.
If you find one, yes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just fantastic.
Yes,
so
yeah.
So yeah, you know, I was really impressed with it.
What that comes, of course, with their mastering system, this Lyrac, all tube driven, all reconstructed Lyrac system, which is, in my opinion, a fantastic way to do it. And what makes them so special and so different is also that they do not much of a mastering in a way. They get the original tapes, and then they let them run through their system, and
right,
and not a bit more here, and oh that's too harsh. They'll just let them run through, which also brings us to another release, which make that very clear. This is the Love Stereo Forever Changes edition of theirs, and there is this second song, and the second song sounds strangely odd. There is almost no mid-range. But why? Because that's on the master tape. That's on the original tape. That's the way it is on this tape. And then they say, okay, that's how it is. And there is no Bernie Grundman or Kevin going to say, okay, here we have to fix and this, yes, now it's okay. They don't do that. And that's let's be careful. That's an interesting approach. And I, for my part, like that approach.
Yeah, no, it's nice to know that, you know, you are getting exactly what is on the tapes.
With all its advantages and mistakes sometimes. And I think that's their way. So in a way, you don't get, in my opinion, an audiophile remaster. In my opinion, you get a facsimile.
Right.
And I think what they develop with their strategy, only 300, very, very high priced, sold out sometimes within minutes. I think we will see more of those. What do you think? Will we see more?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, these to me, of course, for you have the music itself, which is wonderful. But one of the things that we're really hitting on here is the whole thing is a work of art. And, you know, not only are you investing in the music, you are investing in basically a work of art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, if I should compare that, what is similar to electric recording or French recording, which are also out there on the market, but only with one release. So for example, you know this little guy.
Oh yeah.
This is Lalique. Lalique got famous through a very beautiful artist, Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker were the jewelry of Lalique. You know, the rings and the colliers, and those things are expensive, but they are, like you said, a piece of art. and they even sound good. It sounds terrible, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's nice to have. Or a watch, you know, an iWatch you get for $400 or $350, and has a processor power of unlimited limits. It's unbelievable, exact, and gadgets here and there. But then there are watches who are who go wrong 1 second per day, but cost $500,000, a million, 200,000, 20,000, and those, and I see them more in that realm, not as products like Analog Productions or MoFi. And that's very interesting. I think that we have today the opportunity to choose from a even vinyl in that area, which I really like, and hope that there will be more.
Yeah, I'm with you completely. I think it's nice. So like we're getting more companies getting into this game, and for me, I think we all win as music buyers, because it just means that there's going to be more opportunities to see pieces of art like this. And like Kraft came out with Coltrane's Lush Life, and you know, for me, I want to see this music being put again. So this is my first ever Mal Waldron release. You know, I've had him on several LPs as a sideman, but you know, finding originals like this is just damn near impossible, and that's why I'm thankful for the companies like the Electrical Recording Company that'll you know, get the tapes and put these things out, because otherwise I just can't find them in good shape.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I think there will be a lot of people, and they are in a way, of course, right again. If you do 300 for 350 British pounds, which is around $500, I think, around
Right.
that, that again, you can't talk about availability in a broad sense, of course. So I can get when people say that's not, they should do it also, like Blue Note now does it with the classic series, to put out their big guns, and as you always, I think, call them war horses, if I remember correctly, those
Yes,
Burrells
exactly.
and Lee Morgan sidewinders for $22, $23. I think it's important that we have
Yes.
both parts of the game, and I think with a more well modern, we only have this one up to now, and let's hope that there are other labels who put this out as a more reasonable priced edition.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. You know, both you and I have talked about Chad Kasem and Acoustic Sounds before, and he was able to do a run of the Prestige
Yes.
records. But I think now that Kraft is in the game, hopefully we'll see more titles like the Mal Waldron. It would be nice if, you know, like the Tone Poets, you know, you would see a little more variety. But I do think it's important to get the war horses out, so to speak, because those are the titles that people are most interested in, and the music on them is just fantastic. So
Right.
I was really happy with what Blue Note decided to do with the classic series, and you know, I think you got to cater to those two different price points.
Yes. And then what happens now? They put out, you mentioned that recording, they put out Lush Life from Coltrane, and they put such low numbers that it was gone within, that was 20 minutes, I think. You have your 20 minutes to get it. Same, it's not real availability in a way. But okay, on the other hand, that's marketing. They're creating a series. MoFi did it with the Abraxas. Yeah, that's how things are nowadays.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Kraft kind of learned a little bit of a lesson, because yeah, I saw a number of people complain that, you know, if you don't get in and on that 20-minute window,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, thankfully for me, there's one silver lining to the whole COVID quarantine thing, is I am able to see their announcements when they come out. If I was working in a normal setting, I would have missed all of this completely.
So you're getting one, or you have You have it already?
Oh no, yeah, I got mine 2
Okay.
days ago.
Okay.
So I was lucky, but I think craft needs to pay attention, sort of like MoFi did. And MoFi did 2,000 copies of Abraxas,
Yes.
which, in my opinion, was not enough. They could have easily did 5 times that amount. And you probably saw it with the latest Carole King. With Carole King, they're doing 10,000 of those, and
Really? They're doing 10,000 now.
yeah,
Wow.
10,000, which was surprising to me. I mean, I like that record very much. I hope it sells out, but I
Mm.
know that Abraxas would have sold that at that amount easily. And Coltrane's Lush Life, Kraft could have easily pressed up at least 3,000 copies of that, and it would still sell.
Yeah, but I think that was on purpose. That was a marketing decision
Probably.
so that the people will go into it and then buy them when the next was announced, and then probably we see 3,000 and
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right.
I think that was on purpose, that they weren't surprised that they sell 1,000 Lush Life John Coltrane's.
Yeah,
When you hear, sometimes you hear the numbers of these audiophile recordings, how much that they sell nowadays. It what maybe it has something to do with COVID, I don't know, but the numbers are so much higher nowadays than 2 or 3 years ago. It's unbelievable. If you see this Run DMC from MoFi, uh, sold out already. I think
yeah,
the Nielsen Schmielsen will be the same. It will be gone 3,000 like nothing. And remember how hard it was for them to sell these beautiful Elvis Costellos. It's so hard to
right.
get that. So, but now back a little more back to the electric recording company, your first experience. So, will your journey with them continue? If there is a title, when you say, okay, man, I have to have that, or is this a one-time event?
Yeah, so for me, yeah, I think, yeah, I'm gonna take a look at the titles. Of course, yeah, you and I were talking before this, and I definitely went ahead and I ordered the next one, which hopefully both you and I should be getting our copies soon. Uh, I take a look at the music, and for me, the music is the most important thing. And the next one is Beethoven's Opus 61, which is one of my favorite pieces. And so that one I definitely had to snap up. But yeah, when you're spending the amount of money you are on these, um, for me, yeah, for me, it has to be a piece that I know I'm going to play. But now that I've gotten the Mal Waldron, of course, you're looking at the complete package, and it is a piece of art. So it is a little bit of an investment. It's not going to be for everyone, but yeah, for me, there are going to be pieces that, yeah, I'm definitely going to be all in for.
Sometimes you have to also be very, very quick with them, especially when they throw some Bill Evans at you. It's they are gone, or the laugh, the Forever Changes. They were gone so incredible fast,
Oh yeah.
and then there's always this argument with those flippers, those people who buy several copies. But in case of the electric recording company, I do not agree in a way, because if you go over, for example, to Discogs and see how many of those editions can you now buy on Discogs from those flippers, there are not many. If,
No.
if you see the Slush Live, there are 24 copies now on Discogs, 24. If you see our record, the Mel 2, you have three editions, which are, okay, they nearly doubled, but I think that's not so much. It's,
No, I I think when you're paying 300 British pounds, I that's a huge investment for a flipper. And
yeah,
uh, when you a lot of those guys will double the price, and even if you double the price, you might be sitting on it for a while. So it's I I don't think you're going to see very many people flipping these. And I think most people that are going in on it are the ones that really, really want to have it and they're looking to keep the music. But yeah, at $100 price point, like the Lush Life, I can see, yeah, you're going to see a lot of flippers.
Exactly. Yeah, as you can see now on Discogs, there are legion over there. Now you can get them for a higher price in a way. Yeah, that's the not so beautiful part. But I always hear that people say, "Oh, you know, you buy those records and nobody listens to them." And I say, "No, I don't think so. I think the people who buys them, they listen to them. I listen to them.
Oh yeah.
I know you listen to them. I know Danny, another guy in the United States. He has also some. He listens to them. They are there to be listened to be touched, to be. They make you happy, like your typical vinyl, like your music.
Exactly. And I know that you listen to them as well. And I think that's the important thing at the end of the day. I mean, these are not pieces that you're just buying to let them sit on a shelf.
Exactly.
These are things that, yeah, you are going to pull out and listen to.
On the flipper perspective, you lose a lot of money probably if you listen to them, but that's what they are there for. That's what they do. And for me, once more, they do an incredible job. There has been videos, I don't know if you have seen them, of people who thinks different, but you have to accept the approach, and you don't have to expect that they sound so much better than other audiophile recordings. They don't. They sound different.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of putting it. But you know, the Mal Waldron, again, you know, they have an all tube mastering chain, and you know, I felt the sound on these things were extremely pleasing.
Yeah.
People talk about the one step process, like the Ultra Disc, and maybe you know, but I would assume that, you know, after they've cut the lacquers, I'm sure they're using the father plate to do the pressings, because the pressing run is so small. So to me, I'm assuming that these are essentially a one-step process as well. Do you know?
You're so right. And you know what's striking? That I think I've heard that they do, but they don't talk about it. That's nothing.
Yeah.
They don't talk about it because they do it the best way they can. If it's more work or if it's a little more expensive, they don't care. They have their specific way of handling it. It's all handmade. And you know, sometimes I was a little disappointed or surprised that they don't do their pressings over at Palace.
Yeah.
Why don't
Yeah, both you and me are the same. If I had one ding for them is, yeah, so I think record industry in the Netherlands, where they get these pressed up, I think they're a good plant, but I don't think they're a perfect plant by any means. And so I was having a conversation with somebody in one of my videos about, you know, music on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've had some problems with music on vinyl in the past, and I hope to cover that in a future video. But they press reasonably well, but you know, I've had my areas where I've had problems with their pressings. But I was surprised. Mel Waldron, it turned out wonderful. It would be nice if they can get more of a flat profile. And I know that Palas is capable of doing that in Germany, but you know, at the end of the day, that's kind of a minor quibble.
Yeah, and I can imagine that the guy who does this stuff over at the electro recording company, I think his name is Hutchinson. He can be a pain in the, and I think he stands next to the pressing machine and said, "This is good. No, this is not." And maybe
Well,
people
you know, giving what you're paying for, that makes me happy, because yeah, you really gotta have good QC. And I don't think, I think sometimes with music on vinyl, some things will slip out of the quality control.
Yeah, that's probably true. I never got into music on vinyl. I somehow they never dragged me into it. But now you are out of Vinyl Me Please, and I'm completely in it. So that's how things can.
Yeah, so I don't blame you for sticking with Vinyl Me Please. I mean, again, I think there's a lot of good things that they're doing. And incidentally, Chad Kasem told me that, they're very much in a learning process, and Chad is trying to give them advice where he can.
That's right.
But yeah, there are some things that, I'm having to pick and choose where I'm going to spend my money. And in a lot of cases, I'd rather get an electric recording company over 3 or 4 records that, I know I probably won't play.
I understand.
And that's kind of been the case with Vinyl Me Please for the past 6 months or so. I'd say about 30% of the releases that I did get, I was really, really thrilled with. But the other 70%, I looked at it and I had to question myself, am I really going to play this record again? And 70% of what I was getting from them, I don't think I'd play again. The classic side of the house, though, I think they're doing some fantastic things.
Yeah, but this is a very interesting argument. I'm totally getting what you say, but you can turn this exactly around, because I say it's so impressive that they touch records nobody else dares to touch. But it's the same thing in a way, just positively put. And I like that from them, that they dare to touch records nobody else dares to touch, and give them a good treatment.
Yeah, so it's like the jazz dispensary titles. They did 5 or 6 of those.
5, I think. Great.
All mastered by Kevin Gray. Those are titles I was not familiar with. And being on Prestige, I'm like, I'm gonna, I like Jack DeJohnette, I like Bernard Purdie. I'm gonna give all of these a try. And it was just fantastic. I'm glad they did those titles. And then they did the Bethlehem ones. Did you pick up the Bethlehem ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, those ones were a little bit of a disappointment for me, because
the colored ones, huh? Yeah, I think those are
yeah, I was hoping they would give them the same treatment.
They did,
because here you're getting, they had Charles Mingus, they had Donald Byrd,
Dexter Gordon, I think.
Yeah, you don't know who mastered them. They were all done at GZ. You just had the normal cardstock cover.
You're right. But maybe,
in fairness, they did advertise that. I can definitely take a hit for not paying more attention. But those are nice titles to really get a nice pressing of as well.
Yeah, I get you. The variety sometimes is a little big. Sometimes you get perfect covers, masterings, and sometimes, as you said, you don't know what you get. Is it digital? Who mastered it? Who pressed there? Jay-Z. I'm not so happy with Jay-Z. All right, you're right.
Yeah, no, I've had my fair share of problems with those guys as well over the years. And in fact, I find every GZ vinyl record that I get, it really needs a good cleaning before it even hits my table.
Exactly. But that happens with the electro recording company, by the way, too. Nowadays, it's much better. But for the older, you can't imagine. I have to clean them sometimes 5 times. because they had inner sleeves who gave a lot of pops and clicks. That was not a clever choice. But those days are over now. So, Paul, thank you for letting us into your first reactions and of your first electro recording company edition.
Oh, absolutely. And Michael, I got to give you credit for actually pushing me into it, because when you first talked about it in one of your videos, that was really what pushed me over the edge to try one of these things. And I can say, again, it's not going to be for everyone, but given what they are releasing and the effort they put in the excuse me, overall package, it's definitely worth it.
I think so too. Paul, thank you very much for your insights. Pleasure to have you on my channel. I'm pleased. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Michael.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.